You're sitting in a casino, you're playing blackjack and roulette, and you've also placed a bet on a cockfight in half an hour. But first, you eat your tiger steak and enjoy a snake schnapps. A few kilometers away, the government is growing drugs. Meanwhile, their military is fighting the war on drugs on television. Suddenly, you get caught because you have a small amount of drugs on you. But for $300, the police officer looks the other way. You might think that a place like this is too extreme to actually exist, but that's exactly what it's like in the Golden Triangle, the border triangle between Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar. Welcome to the most absurd and criminal place in the world.
Who's the boy that asks all the questions, explains the world to you and makes you laugh? Who shows you things you don't know yet? Everyone knows it's Prometheus.
That's me. Here you'll find everything you've only ever seen in documentaries. Huge illegal casinos, prostitution on every corner, more cocaine than the whole world will ever need. Oh, and one street over, hippie backpackers are taking selfies in front of a Buddha statue. Nowhere else is more absurd. What sounds like freedom at first is also the most dangerous place in the world, because there is virtually no protection from the police. On the contrary, the local police are more interested in supplementing their salaries through corruption and extortion. We're not talking about a small place here. We're talking about an area of 200,000 square kilometers. That's as big as Austria. No, not that one, the other one, without the kangaroos. Most of it is jungle, impenetrable, opaque. Well, unless you belong to one of the many local drug cartels, then of course you know all the secret paths. That also makes the place a perfect hideout and ideal for all kinds of criminal activities. In addition, the Mekong River flows through here, which makes logistics super easy. After all, the river flows through half of Asia, so you can get pretty much anywhere you want. You would think that the military would monitor the river, but the thing is, they earn a lot of money from the trade. Most of the drug production is approved by the state, in return for a certain amount of hush money, of course. But there are also completely different corners, for example in the Thai part of the triangle, the province of Chiang Rai. Here you'll find every tourist's dream, including endless Instagram photo spots that all look like they were generated with Photoshop or AI. There are also the most outrageous hotels with fantastic views for little money. On the banks of the Mekong River, there are oversized golden Buddhas, lots of temples, and colorful decorations. An absolute contrast to the otherwise rather brutal reality of the triangle. The history of this epic crime stronghold begins in the 1970s with the cultivation of opium. And we're talking a lot of opium. We're talking about a production volume of up to $1 billion a year. And that was in the 70s. Today you can find everything a dealer's heart desires here. Opium, heroin, cannabis, and of course, crystal meth. In 2023, the military half-heartedly blew up a drug den for a TV report. But, well, that wasn't all that spectacular and was more intended to show, look, we're doing something about it. The population was reassured and everyone could carry on as usual. Because now the Golden Triangle is the world's largest producer of methamphetamine. Most of it is produced here in pill form, which is easier to manufacture. And that's what the Nazis used to get themselves pumped up before storming enemy positions without thinking twice. During a random inspection, Thai police seized 50 million pills here in 2024. At first glance, this sounds like a heavy blow. But the production costs are 1 cent per pill, so it was less than a drop in the ocean for the cartels. Here in the jungle, meth labs are sprouting up like mushrooms. The military sometimes doesn't even dare to enter the jungle. Where drug money rules, criminal gangs are better equipped than the local military. And the government is usually best buddies with the local warlords. They know each other, they like each other, as long as enough money flows into the right pockets. Before we continue, a quick thank you to our sponsor today, namely you. You really support these videos just by watching them. If you want to invest even more, just leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Of course, only if you like it here. That helps more than anything else. Thank you very much. And then there's Laos, directly opposite the tourist paradise of Thailand. That's where the so-called Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone is located. The Golden Triangle within the Golden Triangle, so to speak. This zone is something like the dark criminal core of the region, even if it looks anything but dark from a distance. I mean, just look at these neon light shows in the middle of the jungle. You'd think the most criminal place in the world would be hidden away somewhere, but here it's right in the spotlight. There are lots of restaurants by the river. Many Thai people go there for dinner in the evening, and they look out onto a glittering city that keeps growing. You may be in Laos, but only on paper. This city only exists because of a special group of tourists, Chinese, and everything here is in Chinese. Street signs, billboards, restaurant menus. People speak Chinese and pay with Chinese money. Even the clocks are set 1 hour ahead, to Chinese time. The reason why everything is geared towards Chinese men and women is that casinos and gambling are strictly prohibited in China. That's why this Chinese casino city has existed in Laos for around 10 years. Back then, the city was built from scratch. By him, the Chinese Chiang Rai. He is one of the bosses of the King's Roman Group. Although the company is registered in Hong Kong, its empire lies here in Laos. The company has built a Chinese tourist paradise on an area of 30 square kilometers. Hotels, shopping centers, golf courses, a hospital, and this flashy King's Roman casino. Chiang Rai officially leased this huge area from the Laotian government in 2007, but only for the next 99 years. For a relatively poor country like Laos, this is a great deal. But Chiang Rai is now facing a lot of accusations: drug and human trafficking, bribery, money laundering, trade in wild animals and weapons. As a result, he is now even on the U.S. Treasury Department's sanctions list. He himself, of course, denies all allegations, but I guess it is preferred by a lot of people to avoid accusations. Anyway, there is some rather damning evidence against Wei in this case. Let's start with a closer look at King's Roman Casino, the criminal heart of the Golden Triangle Zone. A team from the U.S. think tank Crisis Group visited the casino last year and found that when it comes to money laundering, there is no attempt to hide anything. But okay, the fact that casinos, drugs, and money laundering somehow go hand in hand is not a big shocker. But this is on a whole different level. Here, up to 3-digit millions pass over the casino counter every day. And that's not even the King's Roman Group's biggest source of income. Which brings us to the next accusation: the trade in wild animals and other rare species. And no one here makes a secret of that either. You can buy extremely endangered animals at the markets in the Golden Triangle. For example, a Chinese giant salamander, an axolotl, or that extremely rare albino turtle with red ears. Compared to that, the in-house tiger and bear breeding program seems like a minor offense. But they are not traded. They are intended for the restaurant. Yes, in the casino complex, you can order a plate of tiger meat and wash it down with a glass of tiger wine. A drink for which the tiger's bones, even its genitals, are soaked for months. I have no idea who would voluntarily drink such a thing, but the Chinese are somehow into it. We've now covered money laundering, drug trafficking, and illegal animal trade. Hey, there's only one thing missing from our bingo of despicable things: human trafficking. And women are particularly affected by this. And there are plenty of them here. On official TikTok channels, women smile and wave at the camera. Totally authentically. Officially, of course, they are all permanently employed there. But there are reports that paint a different picture. Thousands of women are said to have been held there against their will, some even forced into prostitution. According to their own figures, the authorities in Laos have freed a total of 1,680 people from over 20 countries from the clutches of Chinese bosses since 2007, when the zone was established. And now you're thinking, wait a minute, 20 countries? Yes, because people come to the Golden Triangle from all over the world to work there. European-looking women in particular were recruited for the online casino because they were more interesting to customers. The women are initially given a false sense of security and invited to exclusive parties for the super rich. Over time, however, something more is expected of the women, let's say services. And when the gang bosses invite you on a date with all the trimmings, you have a hard time refusing. The women are then quickly driven into drug addiction. And suddenly, the receptionist at the casino has become a prostitute. This has been practiced there for years and is actually well known. Yet many women, especially those from poorer backgrounds, are drawn there. Recently, however, the King's Roman Group has also been able to establish a new source of income: scam centers, online fraud factories, which have multiplied since the pandemic. During this time, many people lost their jobs. They were then lured into these fraud factories with attractive job offers, partly under false promises and partly to be kept there like slaves. And they, in turn, are robbing other people somewhere in the world of their money. These scam centers are becoming more and more of a problem throughout the region, not just in Laos. But even there, evidence is mounting that some of these fraud factories are also operating in the special economic zone. And the Laotian police? They are not actually allowed to enter Zhao Wei's Golden Triangle without permission. It is his private city, after all. And China has tolerated Zhao Wei's criminal empire for years. In China, no one really sees him as a criminal. Only now, with more and more scam centers popping up in the region, is China starting to get a little alarmed. But only because the scammers are now also ripping off Chinese citizens on a large scale. Since then, the government has been trying to tackle the problem seriously. China is now working more and more with the police in Laos, but also in Myanmar, to combat this scam center. Hundreds of people have already been arrested and brought back to China, except for Zhao Wei, of course. As the king of his own mini-state, he is allowed to continue as usual. And for that, he had his own small airport built in early 2024. It is expected to fly in 2 million Chinese tourists annually. Of course, Wei did not finance the whole thing himself, even though he had the money to do so. No, he had the Laotian government pay for it under the pretext that Laos would also benefit from more tourists. But now I'm curious to hear your opinion. How crazy is this place, and have you ever heard of anything like it? I look forward to reading your comments. Until then, enjoy your life. Be kind to each other, stay healthy, and see you next time.
Who's the boy that asks all the questions, explains the world to you and makes you laugh? Who shows you things you don't know yet? Everyone knows it's Prometheus.